It was Richard Tallman.
Richard.
Rich
Good old,
Tallman.
good old Dick Tallman.
Dick Tallman. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Video Game Collectors Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Rose. That guy.
I'm
Some
Josh. This is number 102. So here we are. And we got a very special guest today.
Who is it, Josh?
Oh, this is Quinten.
This is Quinten. Hi.
Yep. Yeah. Um, yeah. Quinten Tallman, video game collector extraordinaire, uh, Sega Genesis lover, Nintendo 64 lover, video game lover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
video games. I don't discriminate.
Yeah, that's good. Um, yeah.
I didn't even ask before the podcast. Maybe I can ask here, and if it's bad, I can just trim it out. Can we talk about your past too?
Oh, I wanna?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't. I mean, there's obviously some things I can't say, but
Oh,
uh,
sure. Okay.
probably very few. So that's fine.
Well, for those who don't know, Quentin was a huge part of WADA for a long time. So he probably either dealt with you or problems or issues or video games or all of the above. So another one of those, get to meet the team, the original team really of WADA. So but more than that, let's get to know you. Uh for a lot of our viewers and listeners, because it's kind of fun. And it's nice to know, different people's takes and histories. But what, like, how did you get started? Like, what's your earliest memories of video games? Actually, like, where did it all start?
Oh, I mean, I remember my cousins got a Nintendo probably like 87, 88. We didn't have anything then. My parents were very like, when we were young, it was very like, we're talking pre-kindergarten. It was very much like, you guys don't need games, go outside and play,
Yeah.
ride your bikes, come home when it's time to eat, the typical thing that all of us grew up with during the summer. Like, you leave the house in the morning, you come home to eat lunch, and then you don't show back up until the end of the day. So my cousin said that, and I think my brother and my brother's 2 years younger than me, and we were pestering my parents to get us something. And then we ended up getting a Genesis because my dad had read somewhere that Sega has something better coming out. So I remember getting that. That's kind of my earliest memory. And then just, friends having different games, different systems, all that. I got into actually collecting stuff when I was in, probably eighth grade when I first started high school. I just wanted more games, more systems. And the easiest way that I found to do that was just to buy other people's stuff that they didn't want anymore. So, if I knew people who had a Nintendo and they wanted to buy a PlayStation, and their parents were like, well, we'll help you, but you got to get rid of your Nintendo first. I was the guy who said, I'll pay you $10 for everything in that box, $15 for everything in that box, whatever. And
Wow.
you'd get systems, loose carts, really nice complete in box stuff, just kind of anything and everything. And this was pre internet, Craigslist days. So I kind of kept the best of the best at those times. And then I would go to local game shops. And if I had 4 copies of Super Mario World, I'd try to trade in, the ones I didn't want, keep the best and get something else or get cash to buy more stuff. So it's kind of how I started. I always saved my boxes as a kid. I remember my room in high school. It was in a basement. There was like a shoulder height ledge all the way around the room. It's just the way, just like a capped ledge. And I
Yeah.
would save all my system boxes and controller boxes and literally just stack them up all around my room. And it's just like nobody else that I knew did that. Everybody threw their boxes away. Like I have my original Dreamcast box, Saturn box, N64 box, controller boxes that I bought as a kid, extra controller boxes. I just would stack that stuff up and just kind of collage it around my room
Smart
for no,
man.
no reason other than I thought it looked cool.
Smart. How old are you? Like
39.
39. Okay, so yeah, 6 years younger. So when you were a freshman, that would have been, oh
98,
gosh,
99.
98, 99. Okay, so you were buying Nintendo systems in box with like lots of games back then. That makes sense price wise because people were just clearing out old crap.
Yeah, I just, I didn't grow up in a huge town, not a big town, as a smaller town. And the big city where I live now, Eau Claire, was like an hour away. So, people didn't have a real great avenue to get rid of stuff in a small town of a couple thousand people. So I kind of was that means. I remember after school, maybe it was a kid I never hung out with, but was interested in buying his stuff and he lived in town. I'd walk home with him from school and check out his stuff, give him $10, $15, kind of whatever we worked out. And I'd leave with a backpack full of games. And
Mhm.
yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, if I was older, the like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace would have been great to sell some of this stuff, but that didn't exist. So I just had to kind of keep what I kept and trade the other stuff away to local game shops if they had something that I wanted, or sell it to them instead of store credit. And you don't get nearly as much in cash as store credit, but I'd roll that back into buying something else. I mean, I remember one time I bought a Super Nintendo and it came with like 8 controllers, and the kid's like, I think only one of them works. I'm like, whatever, that's fine. Like, I'll just use them for parts or clean them up. And most of them worked when you cleaned them up. You take them apart, clean those pads. I mean, soda and shit spilled in them. So
Like welded shut from the soda, just like drying up.
No. And then I eventually at school became like the guy who people would say, my controller doesn't work, can you fix it? And I would just disassemble it and clean it with Q-tips and alcohol. And during that time when I was in high school, I also built computers for people and fixed computers. So like I made money doing that too on the side. So back in the day, if you remember Tiger Direct, they're like PC catalog. They had a website, but this was like, again, like 98, 99, 2000, like websites weren't super robust. So like in a small town, people would want a new computer and I just order parts through Tiger and build it for them and just charge them for labor. Or I'd get people who are like, oh, my computer's running really slow. Could you come and take a look at it? And I'd take a look at it. And sometimes they just have so much shit running on startup. So you just, go to run, type ms-config, startup tabs, just uncheck a bunch of shit. It'll run better. Sometimes, there was no saving it other than more RAM. So I would just say, yeah, I can order you, 32 megabytes more of RAM, which was a lot back then, which is nothing now, for X amount of money. And they'd say, yeah. And then, I'd pop out the old 16 meg stick, put in the 32, and I'd keep the 16. And sometimes if somebody had a computer that had extra slots, I'd sell them 16 and side hustle, I guess, back then. But
Man, little entrepreneur
Love
back.
Yeah. He had all the serial keys. So if you wanted a legal copy of Windows XP, you could do it.
95 and 98, I had a ton of them. So I worked during the summer, I worked at the high school. The technology administrator used to be my 6th grade teacher. Real cool guy. Like, he loved video games and computers. Like, he was probably like, I think when I started to work for him, like 35. So during the summer, I got paid minimum wage. I worked 8:30 to 3 every day during the summer, Monday through Friday. Show up at the high school, off of the library. There was like this little room, bunch of like counter space and stuff. And what we were supposed to do, well, we did, but what we were supposed to do is inventory all the computers in the building. So every computer lab had a computer with a tag on it that said like ML, middle school lab, dash, whatever. So we had to inventory all of them, make sure they were still there, record where they were, and then we had to clean them. So you had to take the top off, take them outside, blow them out with compressed air, and then we would reformat them, we'd create a ghost image, and we'd go in the lab and copy that to that model of computer. There's me and one other guy who did it. He only did it for like 2 years. I think I did it for 3 or 4, but we got paid like $4.15 an hour, which was minimum wage then. But we were unsupervised, and this was back when 56K was a great connection. The school had a T1, so I just brought in my computer and downloaded music all day and played Quake 3 Arena all day. And the technology administrator, who was a great dude, is like, listen, I don't give a fuck what you guys do. He's like, this is how much has to get done by the day teachers come back. They have to have everything ready. And then for the week between when they're back and school starts, you guys are going to be on call to fix everybody's printer because everybody's dumb. So he's like, I don't care if you save all this until the last 2 weeks and screw around the first 8 weeks and get paid for it. He's like, you're also kind of on call in case something comes up for the admin staff. But so, I mean, we didn't do that, but certainly didn't work real hard every day. It was maybe after lunch for the last 3 hours, we would buckle down and work. But otherwise, it was downloading music, burning CDs. And then to your point about all the keys, like I had more copies of Windows 98 and CD key and serial keys for those than I knew what to do. So like when I built a computer, I just used a Windows 98 from the school and the CD key from the school.
That's awesome.
Who's gonna know?
Nobody's gonna know.
Was that pushing the years of Napster, right? With 90, that would be 90,
Um,
2000?
ye- yeah,
Napster
it'd
was
be
like
like
2000.
2002, 2001. I used WinMX is
Mhm.
what I used. I found that to be a little less cumbersome than not nearly as many pop-ups and ads.
Hmm.
But we'd screw around with people. We would like take popular songs, like a Linkin Park song. We'd rename the file. We'd rename like a Backstreet Boys song as a Linkin Park file and trim it to fit the size. And then we
Mhm.
would host as a download because we had a T1. And so people would download what they thought was Linkin Park and it'd be a Backstreet Boys song. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, I
We'd
mean we
always try to, I remember going in and downloading songs thinking like when a new album would come out
yeah.
and it would just be like a loop of the first 10 seconds of the song for the length of the song. And you're like, God damn it. And then you try to download more and you just wasted like a day downloading, trying to get a new album on anything.
Yeah, I would just queue up tons of stuff before we went and worked and just leave my computer. So I just brought mine in. It was more useful there than at home on a 56K.
That's awesome.
We did all sorts of dumb shit. So it was a huge, big library. And our technology administrator, who was a great guy, the one day we always went to Subway for lunch. He'd always come in around lunchtime and take the two of us to Subway so we didn't have to drive. And the one day there's all these tables in the library and anywhere from like 10 feet in front of you to like 50 feet away. And he's like, hey, we got in a stack, like the box of all these new mouse pads. Like, you guys got to go put these in all the labs. It's part of what you got to do. And he's like, but I'm going to make it interesting. He's like, that first table there that's 10 feet away, you guys each get 10 mouse pads. That's a free cookie at Subway. Table that's 20 feet away, that's a free 6 inch. And the one in the back, that's a free foot long. And then he's like, I'm going to put a chair next to that. If you get on the chair, you eat lunch. I'll pay for your lunch all week for free. So we're standing there like trying to like frisbee these mouse pads on tables because our boss is letting us for if he's just getting enjoyment out of it. He's laughing his ass off.
That sounds like a cool job, man. How old were you?
Started doing it when I was like 15. I did it like 15 through 18. So I did it for four years. I mean, listen, it didn't pay anything, but like if you strip away the pay, it was the best job I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
I just basically downloaded music all day, played Quake 3 Arena and all sorts of stuff on a super fast connection, and worked for a few hours every day. But otherwise, it's just, we had a fridge in that room and a microwave. So it's like just fill it with soda and shit. And yeah. And we got left alone because it was in the library. The library was closed for the summer. So the lights were off except for our room. So if anybody needed anything, they just sent us an email or called. So like nobody checked up on us.
Wow. The
Great.
ultimate job.
Yeah. Yeah, except for the 415 an hour. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
think, I think
you
we
don't
all,
know any better, right? I mean, I always say the best job I ever had was minimum wage job at the video store, right? It was the
Yeah.
best job I ever had. Free movie rentals. So that's all I needed.
Yeah, that was kind of like the start of, I guess, circling back to your bigger question. That was the start of it. Went away to college, didn't really do much then, just kind of left my collection at home, boxed up, got out of college, got a decent job, started buying games again, got engaged to a girl that I'm no longer married to and got married to her, sold a lot of stuff just to pay for, bought a house at that time and she was still going to school. So I think I trimmed my collection down to what fit in like two dresser drawers, like two 3-foot dresser drawers,
wow.
which sucked, but you do what you think you got to do at the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That didn't work out. We got divorced like 2 years later. And then ever since then, at that point, I had a really good job. So it's just been just bye. And it started off with, I think when I got back into it, I said, I'm just going to do loose carts for stuff. And I did that for like 2 months. And I'm like, I absolutely hate just loose carts. Can't stand this. Nothing against people who do it. Like, that's fine, but it's not for me, considering I was curating like nicest of nice CIBs.
Well, I think the problem, what happens if you like collect everything like I like to do is you're like, yeah, loose cards are fine. And then all of a sudden you have a Sega Saturn game. You're like, I'm not going to collect discs. I'm not going to collect Game Boy cartridges. I'm going to get the shit so it's complete. And so then you have to go back and reevaluate your Super Nintendo, your Genesis, and all that other crap. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. And so then I was going for sets. I'm like, well, I'm going to go for an NES set. And I'm like halfway there. I have everything big except for stadium events. I've got Power Blade 2, Little Samson, Dino Peak, Myriad 6-in-1, Cheetahman 2, all the Panesians. But then I'm just like, I'm buying a lot of games that I just really don't even care about. Games I've never even played. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just gonna stop going for CIB sets, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna do sealed from now on. I'll still buy CIB, but at that point, this was probably 2016. I'm like, I'm just gonna focus on sealed and signage and displays. I'll pick up CIBs that I want, or if it's something really rare, if it's something I want when I come across it. But so then I just kind of made the decision to go mostly sealed and then signage.
That was a good time though. Good timing.
Oh yeah, I remember buying. I think the first graded sealed game I bought. No, I had bought raw sealed before that. I think the first graded sealed game I bought was like 2015 or something. It
Mhm.
was like Street Fighter 2 VGA 85 plus the made in Japan copy, not the Mexico. I think I paid like $75 for it or something.
Man, oh, that's painful.
So
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah, there were some case packs right around that time that came out. Somebody had case packs, and Robin had linked. Maybe you too, Josh. He's like, "Hey, do you want to buy a case pack for $900?" And I was like, no." Just like,
Yeah, and everybody was trying to get 90s, right? And so they'd get an
yeah,
85 plus out of there. It's like, oh, I don't want this garbage.
yep, yep. Like, yeah. It was always the chase for 90s
It
until,
was the demand, right? The demand just wasn't there at that
yeah,
point.
I was happy to buy 85 pluses at ridiculously cheap prices.
So that's cheap. That's very
yeah,
cheap.
that's crazy cheap.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the graded stuff really fell off after Omar. You know,
Yeah,
it was a big old come up there for a couple of years, and then stuff just sat stagnant for a long time. You know, there was still people collecting it, still people buying, but there wasn't a bunch of new blood looking for Street Fighter 2. So
Yeah.
What
I get
what was your jam growing up? Like, what was your go-to? Like, what was was it NES? Was it Super Nintendo, N64? What was your,
I mean, I have a lot of good memories with Genesis, because that was the first system we like truly got.
yeah,
I mean, we had like, what did we have? My parents had like an Apple, not an Apple, Texas Instruments
oh
video game system
99
that my
for
brother and I played before we got our Genesis. So we played like Munchman, Hunt the Wampus, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then when we got our Genesis, so I love Sonic 2. Big
oh,
Sonic fan. Love NBA Jam. My brother and I played a lot of NBA Jam. But I would say 64 is probably the one I gravitate towards most, because by that point, you're a teenager, you're kind of making money doing odd jobs or whatever. And that's when to me I had to start kind of being responsible for buying a lot of my own games. Pre
yeah,
that, it's Genesis and all that other stuff. You're getting games on Christmas and whatever. But like once I was of the age where it's my own money invested in games and I'm working for the money, I guess. I guess that's the one I'm most nostalgic for. And that's why now I'm actively trying to go for a full sealed set of
what
N64.
Good
what
luck.
yeah. Ooh. What's your game on N64 then? Like, what was it? Mario?
Probably the two that I remember. Well, it's probably three I remember playing a lot. A lot of Ocarina, a lot of Mario Kart. I remember my brother and I played Mario Kart during the summer. Like, I think it might have been before either of us had jobs, but we just played Mario Kart like all day, just trying to get the best times and one up each other. And then GoldenEye, played a lot of GoldenEye.
Yeah, great game.
Yeah, so
I'm assuming you have all those already.
yes.
Yep. Smart man.
Yep.
Oh, except Ocarina. Just hot garbage.
I was just waiting.
At least he didn't say Quest 64, which is also a pile of shit.
That's bad. I remember renting that. That was like in a small town. That was one of the few games that was. I mean, they didn't have a lot of games at the rental place. I think their strategy was go to Target or Walmart and buy whatever's on clearance, and then they'll rent that out. So like they had garbage. They just tons of garbage.
I feel like Quest before it came out, because everybody was the RPGs on PlayStation 1 at that point when Quest 64 came out were just stellar. And everybody's like, oh, Nintendo is never going to have a good RPG. Nintendo 64 will never have a good RPG on the system. And everybody's like, oh, we got Quest 64 coming out. And it came out. We rented it, my friend and I, and we're like, fuck
That's
this.
terrible.
This is bad.
Yeah.
I'd rather play Super Nintendo RPGs. So,
Oh yeah.
so
Yeah, I'm trying to think on 64, like it's more strategy than RPG, but like Ogre Battle's all right.
Yeah, you know, and the even the Command and Conquer is good on
Yep.
64, and the StarCraft. Those are cool 64 games. But yeah, I get it.
So yeah, actively trying to go for a full sealed set, but then I'm still collecting other stuff that interests me along the way. I love Dreamcast. I probably got like 35 or 40 graded Dreamcast games. Probably have 35 or 40 PlayStation games, probably 20 Saturn games, probably 20 Genesis games. I don't know. I've got like 250, 300 graded games.
Dreamcast is a rad system. I
I
love
love
that.
Dreamcast. I remember getting that like a couple months after it came out. I was so sad when that didn't make it because it was such a great system.
Yeah, dude, my old friend from high school, when they announced that they were discontinuing the Dreamcast, he went to Kmart and he started buying every sealed game. And he had a full about a full sealed set of of the um of the library.
Mm,
And then Sonic Adventure 2, the limited edition version came up on, this was back in the DP days. I want to say like 2002, 2003.
yeah.
It came up for sale on eBay. He bought it now, and the guy didn't ship it out, and he didn't get his money back. And I think he just got pissed off, and he stopped collecting it, and he sold off all the sealed Dreamcast. He had a good collection. He was a good dude,
I
but he had
remember
like
those times
when it
when
like he went hard because the system got discontinued. Everybody just knocked the price down. You could get games for $2 sealed.
I remember going into a shop go here and I bought a brand new extra Dreamcast because it was $29.99. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
need one, but for $30, I've opened it and whatever. But yeah, you're right. Games were $5. Like $7.99 was like the most
that was
expensive
high.
game.
Yeah, I remember we got Sword of Berserk that way and sat down and played it. I was like, holy cow, this game's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is this not going to be a system anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good system. And Tony Hawk 2, or Tony Hawk and Tony Hawk 2 on that system are just insanely better than
Oh
any
yeah.
other console. So
N64 is trash for those because it's like 30-second low quality loops of music and they're
yeah,
fuzzy.
I will say that I did play Tony Hawk 1 on N64 a lot though, because it's what I had. I don't know.
Yeah, you play what you got.
Josh, you always used to tell me what the superior system for Tony Hawk was. What is it, Dreamcast or is it GameCube, or what was like the
Dreamcast for sure.
For
okay.
Tony Hawk 1, yeah.
Yeah, Tony Hawk 1. I would say Tony Hawk 2X, it's Xbox, or Tony Hawk 2, it's the 2X version that came out on Xbox. That version of Tony Hawk 2 is awesome, but it's slightly different than the other one. Um, Tony Hawk 3, PlayStation 2, that's it.
Do you
Probably Xbox also.
on your sealed games, do you care? Do you have a preference? Does it matter? VGA, WATA, CGC? Does it any rhyme reason?
Um, if I'm submitting games, I'm going to send them to WADA. I mean,
Okay.
I used to work there, obviously.
Yeah.
Um,
Situational bias, maybe.
situational bias. But if I'm buying a game, not really. I'm buying the game and I'm buying the game and the condition that it's in. At that point, if the price is right, either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking like, if you're submitting a game, like I'm pretty particular, you get started on one thing, you kind of
Yeah.
want to keep it there. Sometimes you don't have a choice, especially with like legacy cases going away. I'm like, ugh. But yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I send everything to WADA. I mean, I've I've used the others, but I'll send everything to WADA going forward. I mean, or I have been. So
Got it. So you guys parted on good terms then. Like,
oh yeah, it was 100% my choice to leave.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I still had a house up here in Wisconsin. I'm like an hour away from Minneapolis, St. Paul. So I had a house up here. She was up here, the dogs are up here. I came back most every weekend and I had like a studio apartment out in Orange County, California.
Oh my
So I
God.
lived there during the week, and then most weekends, I at least every other. A lot of cases, it was back-to-back weekends. I leave the office at anywhere between 1 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, catch a flight out of Orange County or out of LAX, land in Minneapolis, drive an hour and a half, be here all day Saturday, as much of Sunday as I could. Sometimes I would get back at 1 in the morning on Monday morning. Sometimes it was 7, 8 o'clock Sunday night, just depending upon what flights looked like. And that just got to be too much to do. We looked at houses out there and I'm like, I can't justify living out here. Like, I can buy less than half the house for 3 times the price. It just didn't make sense. So
Yeah, it's so expensive in California, man. And home is where home is, right? So I get that. I could never move to Southern California. I
And it
mean,
was,
now, this stage of my life, I couldn't live there
yeah.
ever. So
And it had nothing to do with the job. Love the job, love the people. I was getting burned out from it. I mean, it's when you factor in like traveling, that's like 10 to 12 hours nonstop of traveling from
yeah,
like
that's a lot.
leaving your apartment to getting to your house. It burned. I mean, there were times I got back at 2 in the morning, depending upon if flights got delayed, and it's like I still went into work at 7:30 the next morning because it's like that was the commitment I told you guys. I told you guys I would be here and do this. So
Yeah, and it was your choice to go home for the weekend, right?
correct, it
So
was my choice. Yep. So
yep. So that's tough, man. I can't even, if I had to do something like that living in Oregon, I just wouldn't do it. Like, and that's so much closer to a place like Orange County than flying all the way to Wisconsin. That's a hike. That's a flight, man.
That's tough on family too,
3.5, 4 hour flight. Yeah, we don't have any kids, so like, it was good enough, but still 2 hour difference.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking to her, it's just tough to communicate. We FaceTimed every night and did all that stuff, but it just, you just gotta learn to, truncate your conversations and yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it was my choice to leave, so I left on good terms. Still get along with everybody there.
Darn, we were really hoping for a dramatic story there.
Yeah, we were. No,
nothing juicy, I guess. I'm sorry.
you still send games there and you like everybody. So that
Yep.
sounds cool. Yeah. And what are you doing now? Are you working or are you just buying video games and
No, I'm working. So after that, I stayed in the collectibles industry. We won't get into what I did or any of
Okay.
that. Wasn't a great choice, personally and professionally. Just leave it at that. So that ended first quarter this year. Took a couple months off, tried to figure out what I wanted to do. Ended up going back and doing something in the same line that I did before I went to WADA. So before I went to WADA, I worked for a home improvement company for their corporate head office, and I was in charge of purchasing, product procurement, merchandising, and marketing. So now I do that for a different company, but they're based out on the East Coast. They do like restoration, abatement, contracting, and stuff. So I'm a category product manager for them. So it's mostly vendor relations, product selection. It's all done remote. A couple trips a year to a trade show or to their home office for a meeting. But it's what I did for 17 years before working for WADA. So it's pretty familiar. And the fact that it's all remote and I'm home all the time and I work my own hours. So usually I start before 7 in the morning and I'm usually done by 3:30, 4 o'clock at night. So no weekends. So can't complain.
nice.
Good
Yeah.
quality of life.
Yeah.
Quality of life is everything. I
Yeah.
believe. I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you can pay your bills and you have a little bit of money to do something fun that you enjoy, having a better quality of life is better than working yourself to death and, just to make a little bit more money. Like it looks good on paper, but it doesn't translate to feeling well.
well, I mean, I like to say it, and maybe that's why I don't fit in the corporate world, and that's okay. But I think that a place like LinkedIn is a place where somebody likes to go and have their farts sniffed because it's just like this corporate mind suck of everything when you go on there. It's like, look how congratulatory everybody is within the organization. It's, I don't know, it reeks of bullshit to me when people have to get on and say their company culture is so great 24/7. It tells me that something is wrong at a place, and maybe
Yeah,
they do love it, and I guess I shouldn't pass judgment on it, but to me it just sounds like bullshit, and I could care less. So
yeah, I use it only to like I updated it when I went to work for WADA. I updated it when I left, but like I am not a person who's on there every day liking people's stuff or posting stuff. Like I don't do any of that. When I wanted to get back into the world I was in, I reached out to some people and they're like, man, they're like, yeah, I'll talk to so and so. I'll try to whatever for you, but they're like, you really should like increase your followers. Like that's a big thing. You should be like have at least 500 connections. I probably had like less than 100 because I'm like, I just don't give a fuck about this. Like I really don't.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is at the end of the day, it's everybody just goes there to like high five each other and feel good about themselves. I'm like, I don't really use this for that.
Yeah,
High five each other and try to sell their shit, right? And
Yeah.
I can't fault that because that's really what social media should be used for, is trying to sell and promote shit. So I get it. And I don't think, I don't know why we're going into this, but LinkedIn to me is no more better than a place like Facebook or Instagram for just promoting and selling a product if that's what you want to do.
Oh, it's just a
So,
professional Facebook and Instagram for your
yeah,
business. That's all it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Until the creepy dudes slide into like chicks' DMs and are like, "Hey, what's up, baby? You want a job?" Anyway, or dudes, I don't know,
Whatever.
but whatever floats your boat. So, I, yeah, I got to go back to your story just a second here. When you say that kids were bringing you games, you were buying games, and you'd like accumulate 4 copies of Super Mario World, right?
Yeah.
What would you say your best trade up was at a store as a youngster, or and maybe your worst? Like, hey, you had a copy of Super Mario Bros. And you traded it for something that you knew was rare and the store didn't value at all. Did you have
Mhm.
any of those? And instances maybe where it worked in the reverse, like you got Brunswick Bowl for a Super Mario World cart.
I think the one that I remember most is I think I had bought Sega Saturn from somebody, and it came with AV cables and an RF. So like obviously they needed the RF and it came with AV. So I think just had a bunch of shit with me and I was trying to see like what I could get for something. And I went to a shop and was just talking to the guy. We had like 3 shops here in Eau Claire. And so this one was usually paid a little bit better. I think that's why I was there, and their selection was a little bit better. And it turns out he really needed a set of cables for a Saturn that somebody was coming in to pick up. So that he said I guess somebody was buying the Saturn he had. He didn't have any like AV or RF hookups for it, and they were buying a bunch of games. So he didn't say what the total was, but what he was rattling off was like, it was probably a couple $100, which was a lot for early 2000s Saturn stuff.
Yeah.
And I traded him that, and I got a complete copy of Resident Evil. I traded Saturn RF cables for a complete copy of Resident Evil for Saturn.
That's a solid.
I thought that was a great deal at the
That's a
time.
good trade. Was it a long box or a standard?
Yeah, for Saturn, yeah. So I still have that
Oh,
copy.
it was a Saturn Resident.
Saturn Resident Evil but yeah, the long box for
Yeah.
that. So I still have that copy. Like I just never got rid of it because I was probably into those cables for a nickel. I don't know, but he needed them.
That's a nice trade up. Yeah.
Yeah, but the other shop that I went to, what scared me even back then, when like maybe none of this was super important, I asked them one time. I said, "Hey, do you guys have extra boxes for your games?" Because I had carts and manuals, and I was kind of like, I'd like to, make this complete, because I saved my boxes as a kid. Like Friend 64 cartridge came out, manual went back in the box, and the box went on a shelf, and I don't know if I.
Yeah, because you got to be about a moron to not figure out how to play a Nintendo.
Yeah, so I had these wallets that you like.
Yeah, you had the Turok wallet there.
Yeah, I do. So like,
Hey,
I
Quinn,
put all
I
the
think we
games.
lived on similar timelines, like in like this universe, because I did the same shit. I'm not kidding. Like
Yep.
I saved my lunch money and buy kids video games at school in high school.
So I mean, I put all the carts in here, and then the boxes stayed nice. So I'm like, by the time I had some nice carts and some nice manuals, I didn't have any boxes. And so I said, "Hey, do you guys ever, like, you have extra boxes? What do you do with the boxes?" Because they would put them on the shelf with a sticker, and so you would take that box up and say, "Hey, I want to buy, this game," and then they would flip through and they would give you the cart, and that I think you knew it didn't come with a box. So I just said, "What do you guys do with boxes? Like, surely people are trading these into you with boxes, and you already have a display box out there." He's like, "Yeah, usually when we get them, we keep the nicer one and we toss the other one." I'm just like, "What?" Like, I didn't feel good about it, 20 plus years ago. So I'm like, I can't go to the shop anymore. So it's like, why would you throw away extra boxes? Like, I'm
you
saying,
didn't offer to
I will buy
buy
them.
You're
Huh?
like, I'll come here and I'll sort through and make sure you get the nicest box, but I'll take the others.
Yeah.
Well, I told him, I said, I'm happy to buy boxes. I said, if you're going to throw them away, I said, I'll give you $1 a box.
Yeah.
He just was like, we just keep the nicer one and get rid of the other ones. And I'm just like, I was
Yeah.
horrified at that point. I'm like, this doesn't sit well with me.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I I did that a lot. I went and bought boxes from the video game store here in town. It was, what was it? It used to be called Video Games Plus in Eugene, and then they changed it to, God, I can't remember the name. It's still there, but now it's just a place to go sit down and play video games. But
what
yeah, I
were
did the same thing. Go
ours
in,
were called RSE GameStar, Toyrific Games and More, and I don't remember the other one.
I gotta look it up now.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah,
actually found some receipts from over 20 years ago the other day when I was going through some boxes of stuff. I found a receipt. I think I bought, what did I buy? I bought Carrier on Dreamcast complete for $1.95. That's what the receipt said.
expensive. Is the store was called Big City Gaming here in town,
Okay.
and I would, whenever they'd get boxes in, there was a dude there that knew that I would come in and buy them, so I'd buy them. I actually bought an Xbox dev system from that
Oh, wow.
company, or that store at one point, and it ended up having an unreleased South Park, PlayStation 2 or Xbox game on it, and I sold it at the Portland Video Game Expo. But we posted, my brother-in-law and I, we extracted the file and we posted the video on YouTube of it and everything. So it was kind of a cool thing. But it turns out, like, the guy who bought it from me did like a deep dive on it. Turns out that the console that I bought from the store had originally been stolen from one of the game developers' apartments in Eugene. So, and the game ended up never being released, never announced. But it was like full on open world South Park game, like Simpsons Hit and Run.
Wow.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I never got anything good like that. And no prototypes, no development stuff. Not over here in Wisconsin where nothing goes on. So
Yeah, we're close enough to Washington where
yeah.
cool stuff here. And there was pretty big game developer here in Eugene for a long time called Dynamics, and Sierra ended up purchasing Dynamics back in like 89 or something. And so
Wasn't there a disc pressing plant in Eugene too?
yeah, Sony Disc Manufacturing. There was South Bend, Indiana, and Springfield, Oregon, which is our sister city here.
Okay.
And I'll be damned if they're not some of the best PlayStation finds locally here in town.
I'm sure.
In the world. So, and I've talked to many ex-employees that work there, and some are like, yeah, they had it under lock and key. You couldn't get stuff out the door. And then you talk to like some of the uppers there, and they're like, yeah, we took games home all the time.
Mhm.
And so one time I found the Space Hulk long box here before anybody knew it was a thing. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
And I got that. I got a sealed Darkstalkers and sealed Ape Escape, and the Space Hulk was open. I was like, fuck it, I'll just buy it too at the flea market here in town. I get home and I'm like, oh, okay, well, can't find any sold comps. There's some small jewels for sale. So I listed them all open auction on eBay. And I sold that long box Space Hulk, not knowing what it was, for like $27. Yeah. And it turns out it was like a display box that was never released or published. But there are definitely good finds in the Eugene area for PlayStation games.
So speaking of that in long box, have you guys ever seen the documentary Playing with Power?
Is that on the
It's
Is
on
that the
Tubi.
Netflix one?
No, maybe it's on Tubi. It's basically 4 or 5 episodes and it just kind of chronicles Nintendo's rise. There is, God, I don't remember what episode, 2 or 3. At this point, they're talking about how the PlayStation came and how, that kind of relationship between Nintendo and Sony created the PlayStation, which is, kind of ultimately was, the downfall of Nintendo for the 64, and then even the GameCube struggled against it. And so there's a game that I love that's on PlayStation and on Saturn called Power Slave.
Yeah.
Which is a great Egyptian Metroidvania first-person shooter. There is a scene in that documentary, and I don't remember what episode it is, where they're showing games going down an assembly line, and they show a Power Slave in a PlayStation long box. That should not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Based on when that game was released, that should not exist. So I have emailed the director and the company who produced the video and asked and never received a response.
I have to watch that now. I have not seen it. I just looked it up on IMDb. I've never seen that. But that
Send it to you afterwards. I have a screenshot that shows the episode and the timestamp of
shit. That that's insane. To me, that means that the game was probably ready to go, and then they just pushed it.
well, the Saturn one I think came out first, and then the PlayStation one was shortly after. But I'll send you guys. I don't know if I have your phone number, Matt, but I'll send it to Josh for sure. I took I literally like screenshotted it, and you can see when it's going down. It is the Power Slave artwork because it's the guy standing in the water and there's the fire and stuff, and it's in a long box, and it's like
There you go.
this should not exist. I have looked exhaustively online for an image of it in long box form in some way, shape, or form. It's not just a single like mock-up box.
It's like running down the production line, sort of shit.
It's running down the production line. Like I've got a mock-up PlayStation long box for Jupiter Strike that where the SLUS number is, it just says XXXXX and it's blank on the back. So it's not one of those. It's actually like a bunch of them like sliding down the line.
Well, I mean the Space Hulk box that I had, it was a full-on legitimate like the ridged long box, if I'm not mistaken. And it had like you open it up and it's got artwork in the back of it. It's not like a mock-up at all.
Yeah.
So maybe I gotta imagine there was games that that just didn't get pushed out the door and they were ready to go, you know. So I mean, you think about games like Mega Man 6 on the NES for the Capcom release.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't get released here, a black box Final Fight guy. So it's very possible. I gotta see that now. And speaking of your Jupiter Strike box, let me know if you want to sell that ever. So
Yeah, I have no like affinity towards it. So yeah,
yeah, I want that.
we'll talk. It's blank on the back. Well, here,
That's perfect. That's exactly the type of shit that I love.
Let's see here. So it doesn't, this is a long box, like box protector. So it's
Mhm.
smaller than that.
It's smaller. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. It's absolutely nothing on the back.
Oh my God.
But then down here, if you can see the SLUS number.
Yeah,
is
it's all X.
XXXXX0000.
It's awesome.
So, but yeah, I mean that I
Dude,
love
that's an internal Acclaim box. So it's probably, if you can find an advertisement, it's possibly one that was used for photography, or it was probably at, what year did that come out? So E3 it had already started, so it was probably E3 display box.
Yeah, Jupiter Strike is what, 90? It's either late 95 or early 96.
Yeah. So it's one of the first E3 boxes probably before it changed over to CES. So, or changed to E3 from CES. So
yeah,
wow.
That's my favorite type of ship, Quinten.
Yeah. Again, it doesn't really mean anything to me. I thought about getting a matching sealed and graded copy, but I'm like, I've never played this game. I remember reading reviews about it. People didn't say anything favorable, but it was cheap. I don't think I paid much for it at one point when I bought it. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah, those things are really cool. Yeah, you don't see the PlayStation like that. The PlayStation long box with a blank back usually. So I have a Rain of Fire mock-up, but it's got the full print on it. That one was done by Acclaim in-house. All the other ones that I have are done by they're all VidPro. VidPro went on and did the boxes for them. And some of the early PlayStation display boxes, they'll have VidPro printed on them. But then VidPro stopped printing VidPro on them, but they were still made by them. So
the ridged ones or the cardboard?
The cardboard.
Cardboard, okay.
Yeah, they're cool shit.
Yeah, I mean, all that early PlayStation stuff is just, it's very unique that there were 3 box styles going on at one time. I mean, some of it, I think, out of necessity, because my understanding is they couldn't get all the boxes they need in one form. So that's why there's the long jewels and the ridge. I think the ridge are the coolest, but I don't know. The adhesive on those never seems to hold up nowadays. They always start to let loose on the top.
I talked to a Sony guy at one point, and if I recall, it had something to do with the manufacturing locations and the packaging companies they worked with. and it had to do with the importability of what came into what ports. So that's why you get certain games with 2 types or 3 types, or you get is it Twisted Metal that has like the ridged and the just the regular cardboard box. It had to do with the location of where the game was being made. If it was South Bend, Indiana, or Springfield, Oregon. And a lot of the standard jewel cases were manufactured here in Springfield because they use the same similar type of case as a PlayStation or the Sega jewel. And so they were using that sort of thing, and it was on the West Coast. The other stuff, but then they got into ridged here in Springfield. But the other stuff I believe is all South Bend, Indiana. So the flat and the ridged was South Bend. So that's why I haven't found a sealed Resident Evil here yet.
Be a good one to find.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to send you that picture now so you can at least see it. So bear with me. You can keep talking. I'll look on my phone.
Okay.
I know. I left my number in the chat too. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I'll send to both of you guys. Just as long as we're talking about it, like, just tell me I'm not crazy. Is I guess all I want.
I'm just glad you mentioned something because now I got something to add to the watch list. I want to say I've seen at least 1 or 2 of them, but maybe not. Playing with Power. All right. Sweet.
Yeah, I found it. So let me pull up.
That gives everybody watching something to go watch too.
Yeah, it's gonna suck if somebody besides me finds it. I wanted it so bad because I've got 2 Power Slaves on PlayStation, a 9.8 A plus and an 85 plus, and then I've got the only graded Saturn copy of Power Slave on the Pop Reports. 9.6A.
I have a nice CIB of that, but
Hey, it's a great game. Like there's the limited run one that's out now. Messages.
Yeah, so here in town, there was a company, a packaging company that went right in next door to Sony Disc Manufacturing, and they did all the packaging for Sony. It was called, I'm not going to say what it's called. Never mind. I'll tell you.
I sent it to you guys.
So Sony would make the games, they'd send it to the packaging company, which would do the cases and the artwork, or no? Or how did that work? You don't know?
I do.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of inline packaging. Oh my God.
So just tell me that doesn't look like I'm getting a terrible glare on this, but
No, that's like a sealed long box Power Slave.
yeah, it's exactly the Power Slave artwork.
Holy shit.
And like I've emailed multiple people at the company that produced that. And
Where
nobody
did they get the footage?
That's what I asked him. I said, where did you get this footage? I said, as a guy who A, loves this game, B, wants to preserve whatever story there is here, where did you get that footage? You know, is that, you know, who provided it to you? Do you have their information? Can I talk to them? You know, I just ended it with, I'm not trying to buy anything here. I just, curiosity wise, want to know, like, where, because that should not exist. I've never seen a Power Slave in a long box for PlayStation.
That's crazy that it's this long later and we're still just finding all over the place, just things you never knew existed.
Because I was watching that documentary, and I'm sure you've seen the meme where Leonardo DiCaprio's sitting on the couch and he sees something. He's like pointing. And like the minute I saw that on TV, I'm like, that is Power Slave. Like pause, rewind. I'm like, this should not exist.
Were you watching it with your wife?
No, but I think when she came home, she might have been somewhere with friends. I told her, and she's just like, okay, that's cool.
You're like, hey, look what I found that nobody knows about in the world.
Yeah, I just said this should not exist. And she's like, well, don't you think other people have maybe found it? I'm like, nobody said anything. I'm the only one.
Nobody said anything. No,
Did you
that's
take the
it.
trash out?
Don't you feel like, doesn't that just like excite the hell out of you when you see something nobody's noticed like that? Man, I love that shit.
And I thought like, I'm going to find out who the producer was, I'm going to email these people and I'm going to get some answers and like, I'm going to have something cool to tell people.
We'll show people right here.
That
There
is
it is.
100% Power Slave.
Power Slave long box. Yep. And it looks like it's on time stamped at 25 minutes on season 1, episode 3.
There's only one season. I don't know why they say season.
Okay. A Sleeping Giant. That's the title of the episode. So go find
If
that.
if anybody finds one in any condition, I'll pay $1,000 for it.
Wow. There you go. Somebody can make money just watching this show.
I will
That's
pay
awesome.
What'd you say? You'll pay 1,001?
more. I'll pay more.
Josh,
I'll pay more than 1,000 too. If that's the way you want to play this.
Yeah, let's go, man.
$1,069.
Hey, Quentin, all I'm saying is I see that there are 3 copies there. So there's
Josh?
at least 3.
Don't bid me up on it, and I'll let you have this for free.
Oh, there you go, Josh.
That's a claim, dude. I have a love-hate relationship with that company. So
Quentin, do you have any crazy stories? Like collecting stories, like things that are just wild? They don't even have to be that wild, but just like surprising in collecting.
Like crazy in the sense of
Just
Um,
even shocking. Maybe it's something that happened at WADA that you can talk about, or just just something, anything crazy, or you went to buy something
oh,
and
wait. Yeah. Or what was the coolest thing that came through WADA that you saw? I guess.
the coolest thing I ever put my hands on at WADA was a gold NWC.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that was cool.
Yeah.
We would see regular ones. Like, I don't mean to diminish a gray NWC. They're cool as hell, but gold ones that's something I never thought I would personally like hold in my hands. So that's neat. Weird collecting
Yeah,
stories.
well, what are your thoughts on the Golden NWC that's up on Golden right now?
What's it at right now? I haven't looked in a week. It was 140 last time I looked.
I
It's at
actually
192, I
here
think.
I have it pulled up. So let me. It's funny.
Sorry, my wife brought me dinner.
I literally have that pulled up.
Oh, no worries. I mean, it's a 4.0. It doesn't have a label, but I don't know if that really is going to matter. I mean, when's the last time people have had a chance to publicly buy one of these?
Never. That's it.
So
Like
I
when
don't.
this one came up for sale in 2018 or 17, and then it got shilled up and the seller decided they didn't want to sell it. So
I mean, I still kick myself for not buying a gray one, like back in 2017.
Yeah.
But I wanted to. We had
Oh,
just
okay.
built our house, and so like we spent a lot of money on that, and we had to put in a yard and do landscaping around it the next spring, and like I got you can do it if you want to, and we all know what that means. So I just said no, I don't think I will, because I was prepared at that point to post like a $15,000 bounty on Nintendo Age. So I'd been talking to a couple people who had them, and they're like, yeah, 15's a pretty good number. Like, I think if you put 15 out there, you'll get somebody who will say, you'll at least be able to have a conversation in a somewhat serious one. And I didn't. I was told I could, but I didn't. I kind of wish I would have.
It's okay.
Yeah. I've seen enough of them now, having worked at WADA, that like I'd still love to have one, but like that kind of quenched the thirst a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
other crazy collecting stories or anything. I mean, I'm sure you guys have been there too. We've all went and bought stuff at a crack house, and I brought a gun to that because concealed carry, because I didn't think that I should not go into that house unarmed. I've met some sketchy people at a McDonald's at like 11:30 at night to buy 2 giant totes of Super Nintendo games and systems for $50.
Or 50.
I mean, there was tons of shit in there too. Like the value of those totes when I bought them was probably like, I know they were stolen. They were 100% hot totes, but it was $1,000, $1,200 worth of games in there, but they wanted $50. And I'm like, dude, it's 11:30. Like, can we do this tomorrow? And he's like, no, it's got to be tonight or not at all. All right, man.
My roommate's waking up in 2 hours and I got to be back.
Yeah, I need
All
it
right.
now.
So I went there with $50. That was another one. And I told her, and she's like, you're not going alone. I'm like, well, if you're going, then you are sitting in the car and you are going to have the gun in your lap. Like 11:30 at a McDonald's parking lot where there's nobody there and the guy's in the back and it's a sketchy looking car. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not dying for this shit.
no.
So, I mean, there's stories like that. I mean, at WADA, there was always cool stuff that came through. NWC controllers were always neat to see. Sucked to have to encapsulate them because we had to use a Super Nintendo cart blister and it had to be hand trimmed. I was the guy who did that.
Wow.
So you have to do it. You have to be very good at doing it, and because you have to wind the cord up, it has to look nice, and then you have to put like a black twisty on it, and you got to put the twisty on the back or hide the twisted part underneath, and then you got to lay it on top, and they're really too big for that blister, so you've got to compress them and then try to slide them down in there. And yeah, I remember spending like an hour on one just to get it to look nice. But I mean, it was neat to see that. I mean, crazy stuff. You know, we had a box show up soaking wet one time that we had to refuse.
Oh,
The cardboard was like visibly wet and like you could have like just tore it apart with your hands. So
Oh God.
they
and
probably that would have been
Okay.
pretty awesome at the same time, though, to get that.
Yeah, I'm not going to say which of the two auction houses it was, but it was from one of them, so we had to refuse it and send it back. So I'm sure
Oh,
they were not. I'm sure their consigners were not happy. I don't know the condition of the games, but like their policy there was if there's a big hole or a big tear or it's like that, we're not even going to accept it because it's a liability.
Not our problem.
so the
Yeah.
shipping box was drenched.
Drenched, yeah.
Oh, I thought like the game box. Like
No, the shipping box was like
oh,
you can tell cardboard's wet just based by the color. I mean, this was like you hold it in your hands and like I could have just pushed my thumbs in with ease on it.
Oh God.
And I'm
Like it sat
"Oh."
outside of a truck or got
Yeah.
rained.
So my story with that, and I have another one that kind of ties into this. I guess I'll tell next. There's two lessons I've learned in collecting. One, everything I shipped either has to be in a sealed entity of itself or I put it in a Ziploc baggie. Josh, you probably saw this with that Smart Boy card. Yep. Because guess what? If the box gets wet, the shit ain't inside ain't
Yeah.
getting wet. So every time I send sealed games to WADA, I'll put 2 or 3 of them in one. I'll reuse one of their Ziploc bags or whatever, but everything is inside plastic. So if it gets wet, the stuff inside, even if it has to come back to me, at least isn't wrecked. So I do that every time I ship somebody something. It's sealed in a baggie of some kind. That Quake 2 you got was sealed in its own blister, so wasn't worried about that, but your Smart Boy cart was definitely put in a baggie. And then the other one involves Portland. I never used to go to Portland, but Hamblin would go and his brother would go, Dave and Josh. And so I usually give David Hamblin my wish list and he would like shop there for me. And then his brother Josh would ship it back to me. One year he bought, when I was like hardcore going after a NES CIB set, he bought like 20 NES CIBs. Just like all sorts of random, from like crap stuff like Silent Service that I for some reason still needed to some decent stuff. But the best thing in there was Donkey Kong Junior Math.
oh,
So there's like 20 games. So I paid David buys them. I give him some money for buying them for me. He's like, hey, my brother Josh is going to ship them to you. Cool. You know, after Portland's done, Josh is like, here's your tracking number, sends it to me. Great. I get it. I have to sign for it, which is fine. So I signed for it, and the box has like a bunch of tape around it and like plastic banding. And I'm like, this is really weird that like, and there's like a tear. So it's like somebody tried to put it back together. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, if it's all here, I guess I don't really care. And so I open it up and like, you know, there's all the games are in there. And I'm like looking through all, I'm like, where in the hell is Donkey Kong Junior Math? This was a CIB. It was probably like a 7580. Like that's pretty good for a black box.
Mhm.
And that one was not there.
Yeah.
And so I called. I'm like, dude, where is this? Like Donkey Kong Junior Math is not in here. All the other games are. And he's like, my brother said he put it in a separate box. So like that one wouldn't get damaged. So I'm guessing this box got ripped open at some point at USPS, you know, either on a conveyor or something. And everybody's like, oh, all these NES games go back in here. But Donkey Kong Junior Math was in its own separate little box that didn't say anything. So it probably got tossed because somebody's like, I don't know what this goes for. Chuck. So now when I send stuff to people, if there's an inner box, I write on the inner box, if lost, return to my name and my address.
Yeah. Kind of like you get a heritage package and you get the inner box and it says,
Yep. So
Right there.
that's the
Yeah.
lesson I learned. And we had to go through an insurance claim it, and we got most of the money on it, but still, it's like, fuck, man.
That sucks.
It was a nice CIB, and that was like,
Yeah, replacing that game's tough. So
yeah. I mean, I have since then, but it's like his intentions were great. Put it in a separate box, protect it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure what happened is it got somehow opened. I don't know, got caught on a machine or something, and it ripped open. And this is just this small little box that doesn't weigh. People are probably like, I have no idea what this goes for. Maybe it sat in a lost and found, and maybe it's still waiting to be found somewhere. But I had to go through tons of USPS people. What's in the box? Can you send us pictures? Yep. Should be in a box like this, an unmarked box. Yep, you can open the unmarked box. They never found it. So
yeah.
my advice is to baggy things so they don't get wet, and then mark on inner boxes where they can be returned to.
Ah, good point.
Wow.
I definitely don't do that. I think I will. So
Yeah.
Baggy 'em. I don't
And I
know.
never used to baggy the stuff until I saw that at Wada. I used to just assume if it's boxed, it's fine. But when I saw that one sew up like visibly wet, like to the point where I could have just torn it apart with my pinky, I'm like, yeah. I guess you can't assume that if somebody's loading or unloading a truck and it's raining, it doesn't sit too close to the edge and just get poured on.
oh right. Or I've heard boxes showing up soaking wet. And I asked the guy at FedEx, I'm like, well, what happens in something like this? And he's like, usually it's because it's in the trailer and it's at the back or the front where the door is, and somebody didn't close the door all the way. And so the rain just pours in the back of the trailer on the boxes that are right there.
Yeah.
So that sucks, man. You know,
Yep.
That's an expensive loss too.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if USPS covered some of it, I mean,
You covered most of it. I'm trying to think what I paid for that game. I mean, even back in, this would have been like 2014, 2015. I think I still paid $800 for it, maybe. I don't know. I mean, nice CIBs were going for a lot on that game even back then.
yeah, they
Yeah,
were
I
never,
think
they were
I
never
think I
cheap.
sold mine for 1,000 even back then.
Yeah, they
So-
were never cheap. It was always the
Yeah.
last black box you kind of saved, and I'm like, why didn't I just get this early?
Hell, I
And
think
that-
I sold mine to Jumpman Jr. back in 2004. I had one 2005.
Which is
Okay.
actually funny that we're bringing this up because I actually pulled up some Terrapeak sales. So let me, that's funny. We'll just, not to jump over through this. Okay. Yeah. Oh, there it is. So this just sold.
Wow.
It sold for, I think it sold for the asking value.
Yeah.
No, DK math 2,700. So this sold for 2,700, but obviously it's pretty
Wow.
nice. It's a little crunchy. So, maybe a 7.5 or something.
Looks like your copy, Quentin.
Is it a gloss sticker? Mine was a gloss sticker. No, mine didn't have that.
Yeah.
Current copy is.
Yeah, that's like a 7.5.
Yeah, this is my current copy. It's a
Oh, wait, let me.
sticker 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
I do have an extra cart and a manual if anybody needs.
Wait, what's your current copy? I couldn't see it.
Wow, it's 7.5.
Nice. That's pretty good. DKs just weren't.
It's a rare game.
What's
Yeah.
what do I
Box is a 6.5, cart's an 8.5, manual's an 8.0.
get? I think mine's a 7 now.
Is that the one I sold you, Matt, or gave
Yeah.
you or something? I can't remember.
Now we traded. I forget what I
Oh.
traded you, but
I think you won probably.
uh yeah, I don't know. That was a long time ago.
I'm still waiting for like a 9.4 CIB on that son of a gun. So
Isn't there a 9.0 or a 9.2 on the pop?
probably. Yeah, I think there's a really nice one. So
Yeah.
I,
I mean, the boxes on these are just never nice. This is the
I-
problem.
no,
I could find out right here.
Matt's gonna tell us.
I think there's a 9.0 or a 9.2.
What'd you figure out, Matt?
What's that?
What'd you find out?
It's still loading. Hold on. I had to.
Hmm.
Donkey Kong Junior Math. Let's go to CIB. Donkey Kong Junior Math. What do we got? The highest grade is a 9.2. There's two of them. 190 and then everything's
9.2 is the Carolina collection one, I think.
gloss sticker removed. And then there's another gloss sticker that's a 9.0. So
Mm.
huh.
I thought they got rid of the gloss sticker remove bullshit.
I think because there's one that says, or there's some out there that say that,
Mm,
probably published that way in the pop reports.
gotcha.
Doing the pop reports is not an easy task. I'll just say that. Having
you-
been there,
were you
it's not an easy task.
I know.
Yeah. A lot of data reviewing and categorizing.
if I were to have to ask, out of your whole collection, what's your favorite game? Like House is on Fire, you're grabbing, well, not even that. What's your favorite game out of your whole collection?
Like the most valuable I'd want to save, or just the one that
It's just your favorite. Like, okay, we will go. House is on Fire, you grab one.
I don't know.
You're grabbing something.
You grab one backpack and fill it with games.
Yeah,
No.
I think that's the strategy is I probably grab, like 5 or 6 games. Like from I like it because of that Power Slave for Saturn. It's the only one in the pop report. It's a 9.6A. I love that game. I probably would grab that. Just from other cool stuff. I mean, there's other stuff that just, maybe isn't worth a ton, but I'd grab like I get it. There's a lot of Hydro Thunders out there, but this one's a 10.
Ooh.
Probably grab that.
What about playability? Like you're just gonna sit down and you play. What's your go-to game? You just want to sit down, have fun, and play for a bit. What's your go-to?
Because I had so many frequent flyer miles, I replayed Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow to death on my
Really?
Analog Pocket. I remember getting those in like that game came out either when I was just started high school or in middle school. And I remember playing that in study hall all the time. Like
Wow.
that, this is Pokemon before like there was the cards and the TV show, like back when it was literally just a game. Because I think my friend got it like a week or two after it came out, and like none of us really knew anything about it. And I remember him borrowing his Game Boy to me to play in study hall. He's like, whatever you do, don't save it. Just don't save it. He's like, I've got a file going, but you can start a new one and try it, but just don't save it. And I played a ton of that on my Analog Pocket on the plane. It's just, I don't know. It's easy, I guess. Pokemon's not a difficult game. It's easy, but you can make it different every time you play. Like you can say, whatever starter I get, I'm not going to use them. I'm only going to do wild Pokemon, or I'm going to play this time with ones I've never used before, or I'm going to play with only bugs and see if I can beat the game with just bug ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, I just remember playing that a ton. And my brother we got it for Christmas that year it came out. I got red, he got blue. So like a lot of trading back and forth, a lot of battling each other. But otherwise, if it's like a console game, like I'm going to play Ocarina of Time. Josh can cringe.
It's okay.
He
I
did.
get
He
it.
did earlier. It's now
Yeah.
the thumbnail for this video. Fine.
It's fine. I know that people love that garbage, so it's fine.
Well, do you like Majora's better?
No, I think they're both suck shit. The last there's other good Zelda games, but the end of Zelda was Zelda Link to the Past. So and then Zelda Crossbow brought it back.
Well, I have a couple hot takes here. I do not care for Wind Waker because I do not like that cell shading look.
It's fair. Yeah, I can
I
understand that.
just can't. And the other thing is the game itself, I have no problem with, but I absolutely hate the box art for Smash on N64 for Smash Brothers.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is ugly, isn't it?
I hate that cartoon box art. Link looks, I just don't care for it.
Looks like a little bitch.
He does look like a little bitch.
It's because Link is a little bitch. I don't know if you've watched the cartoons.
So, I mean, again, nothing wrong with the game. We had it. My brother played a ton of it. I played it too, but I just hate that box art.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
It's different.
It's different, yes. Different, not in a good way.
Different as in it sucks shit. That's what it is.
You guys want to read comments?
Let's read some comments.
Well, I was going to ask you guys, have you picked up anything cool lately?
Uh,
Either like,
we'll do
oh,
that.
at the end? Okay,
We'll do that after the comments. So we'll go
Okay.
comments and then we'll do wins.
sounds good.
Let's. Boom. Can you see that?
And
That lovely screen.
Oh, drunk, man. Not.
All right. So what did you say? Sort by
Newest. Yeah, there you go. And then
newest.
start at the bottom.
Fine.
There you go.
Blockbuster late fees. First again. Okay, you just got a permanent award for that.
Think he's got a bot.
He does.
Must be
Oh,
the guess.
over. We did an over under on where we think the NWC is going to land gold.
You asking for my guess?
Yeah, what's your guess?
Oh, what's your guess? Where do you think it's going? Obviously, it's labelless, but
Yeah. I'm gonna say just under 400.
nice. So he's over because we did an over under on 300,000. So you're over.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be 370 to 395 somewhere.
With hammer
Yeah,
or
yeah, with
yeah,
Hammer, that's what somebody has to pay.
Okay.
22%. So we're looking at like just over 300 on actual bid.
Yeah.
Sweet. Josh, oh, you already said it. You're probably right.
Yeah, I went through and commented this morning on stuff. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a loser.
Go for it, Josh.
Josh and Matt, you sound like a couple regarding white bullets. Then you literally say bullet couple. And I said, are we not a couple? White bullets for life.
I'll comment later. No. I mean, I wanted to have Quinten read some, but we'll have Quinten read the next one. Blockbuster late fees under 300K for that gold cart. All right, fair enough. You want to read one, Quinten?
Thor's Nintendo cart, as in Thor, who is all over YouTube Shorts and helps people. That Thor. No, it was Thor Ackerland, the winner of the Nintendo World Championships.
Got it. Thanks. The dude from Adventures in Babysitting. Of course you know. What? Oh, got it. Got it.
Come on, there's a Thor joke in there, you asshole.
Got it. I don't remember Adventures in Babysitting. I remember watching it. I don't remember anything about it.
It's okay. It's fine. Can't be perfect, Matt.
Go for it, Josh.
Says Matt, I'll be in CB in August, which is code for Cannon Beach, Oregon. We'll crack out the baseball stars and play 1P versus 2P. That's what she said.
Yeah, I can read into that a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, you could. CB and play the 1P versus the 2P.
Make sure you get dinner first.
Yeah, Michael, I thought I responded to your comment earlier, but I guess I didn't hit enter. I said you should go to Sleepy Monk Coffee in Cannon Beach because that is the best coffee in the world. So
You think it is?
I love it, dude. I order it every week.
Funny story about Cannon Beach. So after Portland last year, or not last year, when I worked for WADA, there was a bunch of us there. There was 2 people who had to take a later flight out. And so me and the security guard drew the short straws to take the later flight out, which is totally fine because we ended up driving to Cannon Beach and we ended up eating at a nice seafood restaurant and then driving back.
Wow. Do you remember did you eat it? You might have got on the Pelican.
I don't remember, once we kind of came through town, it was on a corner. It probably doesn't help.
No, it does.
I'll look through. I'm sure I took a picture of it.
Closer to Haystack Rock.
Don't know where it is.
Up in that region. All right.
It's a big rock out in the ocean.
I mean, we could walk a couple blocks to see the ocean. The ocean was not far, but security guard, he was an older guy and he's like, well, I'll take the later flight. He's like, who wants to do it with me? And I'm like, well, I don't have anything I have to get back for. So sure, I'll do it. And he's like, well, let's just go drive out to Cannon Beach and we'll eat some good seafood. I'm like, fine by me.
It's cool.
Sounds like possibly Pelican. I'm trying to think of what else would be on the corner that.
So you went in and they kind of had like a glass case deli style counter, where you could probably order some like assorted seafood by the pound, but then they also would make your food and you could small area inside where you could eat.
Oh, okay. That would not be Pelican. All right. Huh. Drawing a blank
Hmm.
there, but cool.
Don't know. It was delicious though.
Did you guys see Haystack Rock while you were there?
Yeah, we didn't like, I don't remember that being specifically pointed out. He said he had been there before, so like he knew the place we ate at, but yeah, I don't remember him pointing it out, but we very well could have drove by it. I mean, because we kind of did after we ate, we kind of did drive around through Cannon Beach before we headed back to Portland.
Got it. All right. Well, that's awesome. That's most of the reason why people go there is Goonie Rock.
Mm.
But Brian, Carts and Cardboard. I bet Kenneth or Joseph could say what happened to the label. They obviously were able to confirm the provenance since they noted it on the label. Which game were we talking about there, Josh?
Gold NWC.
Ah,
Yeah. It's a known copy. So it's the one that was on eBay in 2000, whatever, 17, 18, and it was traced to the original owner. So
got it.
of the person who won it out of the Nintendo Power.
Do you remember who that guy's name was? I can't remember offhand.
I think it's like a dude out of Wyoming.
Yeah, I knew it was. Yeah, it was somewhere up in that area, Wyoming
Yeah.
or.
I can't think of his name. I'll have to pull
Yeah.
out the Dr. Mario Nintendo Power and see what we can find.
Quentin, you want to read this one? This one's actually pretty good.
Sure, Lloyd Danceman, 2708. I own a gray NWC, one of my favorite items in my collection. Would be mine too. The sale of the gold NWC is definitely a great thing for the video game collecting community. I see this cart selling for 250K. I think it goes way past that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's already sitting at 200 right now, and we got a
I
couple.
love that you called him Lloyd Dance Man. Isn't it? It's Lloyd at Ankman.
oh well, I read
Yeah.
it quickly.
We're going with Dance Man now.
I love it, dude. I was like, Lloyd Dance Man. I don't think did he put his
Like, that's a great name.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
Uh,
Sorry, Lloyd. Well,
Yeah.
that's good though. Uh,
Lloyd Dance Man.
Mr. Danceman, I apologize.
Yeah. I don't know. You've seen Lloyd on Facebook. He posts all the really weird shit that he has, like the Minnesota State Lottery cartridge. We should have him on, Matt. We were supposed to,
well, we
and
were supposed to, and we got started in the emails, and then I think we failed you there, Lloyd.
yeah,
If
that's
you
my
still-
bad because
If
I
you'd still like to come on, maybe find that email thread, send us another, and we'll get you on here.
And
Oh,
don't
okay.
let my mispronunciation of your name dissuade you from coming.
No, I think that's his new name is Lloyd Dance Man. Maybe he doesn't like the dance, so it's even better.
Timmy Two Toes, you know the best place to grade Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 would be IGS. Maybe Clown Story. Wow.
What?
Oh.
Yeah. Chris Glidden says 420,069 under. Yeah.
This guy gets it. Yes, he does. All right, Quentin, you can round us out here.
All right, this is not Lloyd Danceman. This is Carts and Cardboard. With PSA announcing they'll be grading comic books and magazines, do you think WADA will be rebranded as PSA Video Games? I obviously don't work there anymore, so I know nothing about this, but I can see them wanting one cohesive brand to represent all of their verticals. So, while it would sadden me because I remember the founding of WADA and enjoyed the WADA of old and enjoyed working at WADA, from a business marketing perspective, I get it, but probably will happen.
I mean,
Cohesive is key. I mean, even CGC went to the point with their sports cards, right? It's CGC sports cards now. So
Yeah. Now, tangent off of that, what do you think that will do to things in WADA holders?
Ooh, see, that's where I say the old WADA holders hold their value or go up. That would be mine.
Yeah, I don't see it hurting them.
I
Uh,
don't think it hurts them either. I think if you look at other grading companies, like the old CGC labels, some of them if I heard right, like the comic books,
yeah.
they do command a bit of a premium because of their harshness back in the day or something like that. So
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
think it could.
I had a bigger coin collector that I was messaging on Instagram. He was just getting into video games. This was back during the boom, and he was talking to me about I think WADA had just, maybe it was just after, because WADA had just announced possibly a new case, and he was talking to me about how, I think it was coins, that the older cases, the original cases demand a higher premium, and he's like, so realistically, legacy cases, because that's what he was looking to buy was legacy case WADA games,
Hmm,
and I
that
was like,
makes sense.
man, that's good to know.
I feel like we can all, recall, like certainly within collecting and time frames, there's times when grades are a little softer and a little harsher. And I certainly look at the cert numbers on any cases.
Yep.
I buy new and old. Old has a print date next to the matrix that at least tells you. So it tells you when that matrix was printed, but that matrix could have been reprinted. So you'll have to kind of utilize cert numbers. But I'll go back and look at my past orders that go back years and be like, okay, this cert number falls kind of in between these two orders of mine. I remember grading at that time was pretty harsh. Like I
Mhm.
got a 9.4 and I probably should have got a 9.6 or whatever. And then conversely too, there's certain time periods where I'll look and I'll be like, man, I got grades I didn't think I should have got. So like, is this overgraded? Like, I'm not saying it's ridiculous. I'm not saying you're getting a 9.0 that should have been a 7, but like, if you've been around long enough and that's to me factored into a decision to buy a
Well,
grade.
yeah, it's a big deal when you send in stuff and it's 9.6 A plus across the board, and it's like it's mint, right? And then you send it back, and maybe you get the bump. So
Yep.
that's a real thing, and I think you're smart to do that. I mean, I definitely do that. I look at the time frame when certain things were graded, when I know they were tight on things, when I know they were loose on things, and I do buy accordingly to that.
Yeah, and
So
if you know they were tight during that time, or you sometimes it's worth sending it back. I mean, I've gotten bumps on stuff I've sent back.
Yep.
yeah, I have to.
Yeah, I've never had
Conversely, I've
anything like.
also bumped stuff down when
Hmm.
get something and I go, this thing's wrong. Like I'm not gonna I can't be in good conscience sell this item in this grade. Like they screwed something up here. It's gotta get corrected. So
Yeah.
No.
not everybody does that though. So
Uh, what do you got for wins?
um Quentin, you got anything cool?
Yeah, what do you got?
Super recent or
Whatever you want. I
Anything, yeah.
mean, everything you have is a win for us because we've never seen it.
sure.
Damn straight.
This I got back about a month ago. Tied for top of the pop. Nine
Damn.
Oh, nine
Yeah.
six. It looked like 9.4 right out of the gate.
nine
Wow.
six A plus. Got that for a
Which
couple $100 raw.
Wow.
And most recent win is a pretty nice Pokemon Gold that probably will 9.6, maybe 9.4.
Wow.
Less than $200.
Wow.
So those are kind of my big wins lately.
Those are big wins. That's like Eric Hewitt style win. Right
Yeah,
there.
that's like Eric only not getting backdoored.
Oh, it sucks to get backdoored on stuff like that's happened more, I think, in the last 6 months than like the prior year.
Oh,
I've just been on the wrong end of it, I guess. Insert joke here.
yeah, the wrong end of
I was
Yeah.
gonna joke earlier when you were talking
backdooring.
about
Yeah.
6 inch and
So
12 inch.
the wrong end of backdooring would be the right end, right?
Again, it depends. Like each their own.
It does depend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Those are cool. That's a good looking goal.
Those are crazy wins. Those are
Yeah.
great wins.
Well, to be
Yeah.
fair though, the NBA Jam was a stock photo. So it said new, bought it
Love
really quick, messaged the guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's sealed." I'm like, "Can you send me some pictures?" And so he did. And then, I'm like, okay, send me another picture because I paid for it at this point. But he's like, well, do you want me to cancel it? I'm like, no, no, no. I'm like, just send me a picture, but write my Instagram or write my eBay name on a piece of paper and just set it next to it. Because
Make
otherwise,
sure.
who knows where you're getting this from? And he did. And I'm like, okay. And, I was waiting, like, you're waiting to wake up in the morning to order canceled or something. Never did. He shipped it out. It hit tracking. I got it in a couple days and it looked great. I mean, conversely, I guess I have a thing for NBA Jam. This one that I got earlier this year that has the cards in it. It's
Hmm.
a 6B plus. I got this for $28.
Oh my God.
And I was hoping this one shipped and it did. So
That's so rare, dude.
I know it's like Pop 2.
Yeah, that's insane. Oh man. Yeah. Did you see the Super Nintendo Target Tournament Edition that came up for sale?
It had the poster in the back.
Had the poster on the Super Nintendo version. I've
Yeah,
seen it on the Genesis, but the Super
Oh
Nintendo.
no, not Super. No, I was thinking Genesis because I know who submitted a Genesis one when I was at WADA.
Yeah, I have a Genesis one, and
Okay. Did you probably bought it from the person who submitted it?
no, I know the person who had it.
Okay.
The one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only, I think, 3 Genesis ones that I've seen. And then
that
the Super
one's-
Nintendo one's the first I've seen. And it's here at my house. The guy who bought it drop ships to me, and then I send out stuff for him.
Mm,
So he's a Canadian feller. So
nice.
speaking of Canadian fellers, what happened to Kaplan this week, Matt?
Oh yeah, we were gonna try and have Dan Kaplan, but he's busy building a fort, and we don't do enough VHS for him.
Yeah. We got the next best thing to Canada, which is Wisconsin. So
Yeah.
we're doing pretty good here, right?
We're pretty close neighbors to them, depending upon what parts.
That's right.
Josh, what do you got there? What do you got for wins?
I got a whole shit pot of stuff. Bought a really nice CIB Pokemon Silver. I'm gonna send that in and grade it off Whatnot. So it was like $500 and nice.
Box looks really
This
good.
one- yeah, this one should grade pretty nice. They sell for quite a bit more, so I'm gonna flip that. Got this Smart Boy cartridge. I think we've talked about this for a couple years now.
Yep.
So what is that?
Quinten here. Smart Boy is a rental version of Tetris, right? I guess that's what they call it, but they're like
Yeah.
a kind of a pirate outfit. But do they use Nintendo boards in them?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's I think that one you could open it. I think that Tetris is a glob top in there.
Okay. Yeah. So there's
But-
there's Mario 3, Ninja Turtles, Tetris. What's the other game?
So yeah, there's 5 of them total. There's Mario 2, Mario 3, Tetris, Arkanoid, and Turtles.
Arkanoid.
Turtles is like the rarest one. There's maybe 1 or 2 turtles out there. There's a couple Mario 2s, a couple Mario 3s. So they were made by a company out of South America, Video Store Services, I want to say.
Mhm.
And so they made fixture racks for like rental stores, but they also made these to sell rental stores in case, these smaller rental stores didn't want to pay Nintendo quite a bit of money for these games. So they're pirated bootlegs, but I think that one I sold you, Josh, has a rental sticker on the back,
It sure does. Yeah.
which
And
I
me-
kept the one with the nicer label, but that one has the sticker. I was torn between which one I was going to throw up on eBay.
Yeah,
It's
the
like-
provenance of this sort of thing is pretty neat that they were sold in our market. So they've always had this very niche collector base, people looking for them. Add the Smart Boy cards to your collection. So
Never even seen one. Did it actually play the same? Was the
Yeah,
it's the same.
yeah,
game.
played the same.
Quinn, I think we talked about this Tetris for a couple years though.
Yeah, there's Tetris. There's the other Tetris. Mario 3,
wow?
Mario 2,
Didn't even know this was a thing.
Arkanoid. I just need TMNT. And
Arkanoid, what a stupid game to have.
I don't know why, but I only need TMNT, and I don't know.
There's only a list out there from what collectors have found, right? So
Yeah, it's
there's
the
no
old
like
Nintendo
official list. So before you know it, there could be another game that shows up.
There could be. I feel like somebody said Batman was out there at one time, but somebody only
Hmm.
showed it with like a handwritten label. So it's like, I don't know if I believe that, but I think I know Dennis has a TMNT.
Yeah.
And I think Dennis needs either Mario 2 or Mario 3. So when I worked at Wada, I joked that like if we just traded back, if we traded and then traded back right away, it would, we could at least say we owned all five at some point. But
Yeah. I mean, I got more shit too. So I got this Quake. This came up on eBay, and I'm like, oh man, I kind of want to buy that. And then I look at the seller, and I'm like, oh, it's Quinten. So I text him. I'm like, I kind of want that Quake. Is there any issues? And he's like, I'll give you a good deal on it. I'm like, oh, I don't need it, but sure. So we
yeah,
made it.
just clearing out space, full
Then he
ends.
upsold me on the Smart Boy cart. He's like, I got the Tetra Smart Boy. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
You got both those for a really good deal, but I didn't
I
care.
know I did. I know I did. So I'm very happy with them. Um, Beyond that, I bought some shit on Heritage. I think I won this for like $40. Questron C64. It's $100 game. I'll flip
Nice.
it, sell it. Showed you the Pokemon. Got a couple other sealed games on Heritage. And a
Oh,
lot.
oh, that's right. The
Free
double
games.
lot.
Oh,
Yeah,
dang.
these were raw. Rightfully so. This thing's pretty janky. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Honestly, I'll probably take the guts and make a really nice CIB for me.
Well, just remember when you open it, video it.
Yeah, I will. And then I picked up
It's always fun.
oh yeah. I picked up this moldy ass Sonic Blast Man too. It's ugly as hell. It's 4.5B. I got it for less than a value of a cartridge. So I'm gonna open it, see what's salvageable in it, probably sell the cartridge, make a little bit of money. Then I got 3 sealed Color Dream games off of
Oh, I
Heritage
love
also.
those.
Oh, that was the other lot to
Yeah,
get.
they're not very nice. Metal Fighter,
Yeah, well, that's
Mines, and Raid 2020. But what I wanted to do here before we go, I want to open this
Wow.
because I want to know if it's a black cartridge.
Okay, hold on. Let me put you at the spotlight.
I have a really bad Master Chew that I should open at some point too and see what
You know
color.
what? I had one also. It was a reseal. I bought it as a sealed game for like $120. I got it. It was resold. I was like, God damn it. I open it and it's the black cartridge of Master Chew. I was pretty happy.
Yeah, I would be.
So Metal Fighter, this is the rarest black cartridge that exists. I don't have one, but it's probably the blue cartridge. But I'm gonna open it because it's just not nice. And I love Color Dreams, and I just don't care if it's sealed. It's blue.
There you go.
No, you know.
Yeah,
Now we know. Maybe we should open the other ones. But so this is how they come sealed in the box, front
that's
facing.
Wasn't there somebody who found a bunch of new old stock of those sleeves at one point?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, once upon a time. Old
Yeah.
Nintendo each days.
It's not even the bluest of blue. It looks like it's already fading.
well,
This
that's
is a
what that's what
janky
that
copy that was not stored very well.
plastic did, even if it didn't have sunlight on it, right? It just
Yep. Yep. Oh.
I think those were out of Bree, California. And I think that's like 10, 15 minutes from Wada's office.
Yep. Bree, California.
So interesting, not to segue your thing too much, but my apartment in Orange County when I lived there was walking distance from where Playmates Interactive office was, which would be where like Power Slave was made, and then also walking distance the other way. Squaresoft briefly had a office in Costa Mesa that's close to a microbrewery there now. So I was within walking distance of two. I always found that neat whenever games would come through Awada and I looked at them. I'd usually look at where they're made because a lot of games are made. There's a lot in California. There's a decent amount like in Chicago, Konami, and all that stuff is like Elk Grove Village or Wheeling, Illinois. So I would always look and I saw two addresses that I'm like, these are a 10-minute walk from my apartment.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a company that owns Color Dreams now, I think, and they have some cool shit still. I just opened the Crystal Mines because I'm like, maybe there's a black cartridge in here. Not a black cartridge. So
That's a
These are
brand-
pretty janky. I don't feel bad opening these. I have sealed copies of them. I bought them because I'm a slut to this stuff. And then 2020 is also a very rare black cartridge. And it looks like somebody tried to peek in already. It's a blue cartridge.
So blue, blue, blue.
Blue, blue, blue. And it is kind of a myth that, all like, yeah, Micro Genius stickered games are gonna have black cartridges, but there are little fortune cookies out there where you get the black cartridge in a normal box. So, um, yeah,
So you just
Color
opened
Dreams is fun.
3 sealed games.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Who knew? I knew that's what would happen.
You guys want to open TNC Surf Design? It's almost there.
What would we expect to find in there that would be different?
Yeah, TNC Surf Design.
Other than a bunch of shitty LJN stuff, I don't know.
Save it for another short video.
Yeah.
Okay, it's really bad, so it's hanging on a thread here, but it's sealed.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's all I got. I mean, well, no, it's not all I got, but that's what I brought on to show you guys.
Oh, I did have one more thing I got. I got a first print Resident Evil 2 for N64. So it's the non -1 after USA. That's how you would tell. So
Yeah,
it's impossible to see on the camera, but the second print would say NUS-NREE-USA-1. So that'll go to WADA at some point soon, so I can cross that one off the N64 sealed and graded list.
yeah. The Resident Evil 2 on Nintendo 64 is an insane undertaking, and it's insane that they actually got it made. So there's probably YouTube videos explaining it if you don't know about it. It's like a mega cartridge inside a Nintendo 64 shell, and shouldn't be possible, but they got it to work. So,
Yeah, go to DF Retro. He has a good video that's about 35 minutes long about how it's made. But yeah, a technical accomplishment that really shouldn't be possible.
yeah, I didn't know there was a YouTube video, but I do
There's-
know the story on it, so it's pretty cool. So that's all I got. You got anything else, Matt?
Yeah. I guess I'm a card collector now because I got this little Halo. It says it's a '07 San Diego Comic-Con promo card, PS8, and so I just bought the rest of his cards that he had in that whole collection. I guess he had a whole collection of them. Guy I know, I follow on eBay all the time. Super nice guy. Shout out to Chuck. I followed him for long time. He also collects Halo stuff, so yeah. And he sent me a bunch of extra free stuff, so thank you. Really super cool of you. So yeah, I'm a card collector now. Screw games. But I'll share this one. Josh, you already know I have it. Pretty rare find, and Quinten might appreciate this. So I did get a green-haired trolls, which graded amazing, 8.5, A+. I mean,
did great.
Did you grade that or did you buy it already graded?
I graded it. Found
Okay.
it raw. It was a dumb find.
Recently you graded it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Those
Because
trolls-
you guys weren't encapsulating them for a while, were you?
we did. I did. They suck.
They do
So
suck.
I'm curious, did they cut a hole in the blister and then put the troll through it? Because that's what I had to do.
No, it's a bigger blister, and I had to get it done before the legacy cases were gone. So this one's, maybe it's pressed in. I don't think so.
No, their noses are just flat and ugly.
Yeah, it looks like it just barely clears.
Because at one point they didn't have the blister that it's probably a different blister. So at one point we had to trim blister. So I had to trim a blister and like tip the troll's feet through and then like get the hair through it. Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, this blister is definitely the full size of the case.
Okay.
So it's a full size blister. It
These
barely
are the two I got, but they're
I can-
not sealed.
I can tell it barely fits in there, but
Those are cool. I wish I had a sealed trolls. I don't.
yeah.
I just want to get the set CIB. I don't care if they're sealed or not. And then there's
How many colors are there?
4 colors and then one without troll attached.
Yeah, pop reports are pretty low on those.
It's just always been a rare video game in general. Like, go on eBay at any given time, there's not even very many cartridges listed.
Yeah.
But-
So super stoked. I have to thank Eric for that on some level.
Yeah.
Nice.
Congratulations. I'll trade you something, man. I want it. Oh wait, no, I have that color. I don't want it. I want Eric's.
Yeah. I think it's the only green one sealed. There's like there's one of basically each color.
What are the colors? Purple, green, red,
orange?
orange. Okay.
I think those are the four. Somebody's going to correct us down in the, but I'm pretty
And
sure.
somebody's gonna be like, I have a blue haired one.
Yeah, it
Maybe.
could be the red is orange or vice versa, that type of thing. I know there's, yeah, purple, green, red, orange, whatever you want to call. I don't know about blue.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, cool. Kaplan, we hope to have you next time. So
Yeah, Kaplan. When
What's
you're
he
done
up to
building,
lately? I haven't heard much from him lately. What's he up to?
done building your fort.
he's
Building-
just ghosting us on the podcast is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Tells us he's gonna show up and then he doesn't. So
That's his full-time job now.
taking us for a train ride here. All
Uh,
right.
Anything else? Anything else you wanted to say or anything?
No, I mean, we talked about that power box long blade. If somebody finds one, I'm dead
Yeah.
serious. I'll pay up for that thing all day long.
Do you want me to leave down below the video some way to get a hold of you, like your Instagram or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah, just contact me first if you have it,
Yeah.
and then
No.
I'll relay your message to Quinten when I have
Listen,
it.
I could have kept this quiet and I could have like done
I
all
know,
this on
I
my
know,
own.
I know. Trust me,
I
I would
know.
never do you dirty.
what's your
but-
Instagram?
It's QTALLMAN 27.
He's a
So-
real cutie, folks.
Q Tallman 27.
On Instagram. I'll try and remember to leave a link to that below. So if anybody has any information they can help Quentin out, that'd be awesome. Let me know.
I don't even care if we don't find one. Like, I just want the story. Like, if somebody knows,
Yeah.
somebody who would know. Like to Josh's point, were these ready and they ran a small batch of them and then something happened where they pulled it back? Maybe there was an error with what was printed on the insert or whatever, or I don't know. It just those based on the release should not exist because it's a 97 and I think that's a later 97 release because they stopped those long boxes, or no, that was early 97. They stopped long boxes mid 96.
96, yeah.
So as a 97 release, there's absolutely it's not even close. That's not even close to the same time. So
No.
I just want to know the story. If one doesn't exist anymore, but somebody at least says, yeah, I worked there. Yeah, we ran a couple hundred of them. They weren't good. We junked them all. Cool. Then I know.
Search for the power slave.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank you,
again,
Quinten.
Quentin, for making the time.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Appreciate you having you on.
Come back anytime.
Yeah, leave your thoughts, comments below. Help them out. Maybe you guys know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. Even if it's just for the story, we want to hear about it. So let us know. Thanks again. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you again next time.